intro music? Yeah! Woohoo!
All right, welcome back. Look, today we're going to cover something that I haven't talked about, at least in a video form, in a couple years. And that is the Ferengi Whip sitting right over there, which, as it has become more and more available to players, now available free to play in just about every event store that we have that rolls around, in terms of the end of arc event stores. Now, we've talked about whether this was a good thing to get before, and we've talked about it for various reasons. The biggest thing we've been waiting for is, well, where are we going to get this available free to play? Where we're going to be able to grab this for everybody. And as you can see here, you can in an event store, with this going to run you not a tremendous amount. And yes, it is absolutely something I would pick up. So 150 shards to pull. And as you can see here in the cost, going to cost you 150K. So in terms of it, an object, not super expensive, because I mean, just a regular like G3 Epic ship shard costs way too much.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
So let's talk about what that is, what does it give you, and we're going to start from the brass tacks, the basics of the whip itself. So here's what you get from the whip. It is a forbidden tech. If you were to max it out, which at this point in the game technically is impossible, but 56,000 increase when mining concentrated latinum when placed on the Fisha, increases your cargo capacity, increases your general mining rate, as well as boosting your protected cargo, turning the Fisha into a pretty nifty, pretty decent mining bug if you weren't already using it. And again, you have a lot of systems out there these days, and we talk about going out into like these beta sectors if you want to get some good concentrated latinum mining. But as far as what the whip does, well, if you want to win that mining event that comes around every Monday, the Ferengi Whip is kind of the answer. Throw that onto your Fisha, have fun mining, and sit there on nodes all day, rack up points, and there you go. Just about anybody who's winning those mining events are doing it because they have the Ferengi Whip. Now, is that the biggest value to the whip? Honestly, no. However, that is still valuable to a lot of players out there, so it's worth mentioning. Now, I do want to point out that I just showed you what it looked like to max, but if you remember or you attend my live streams at any given time, you know that I say very strongly to not max the Ferengi Whip. In fact, I tell you that tier 8 is the absolute highest I would recommend taking it. And we're going to talk about in today's video why, but also want to note that it is valuable for going through those mining leaderboards. And as you see here, I go through this concentrated latinum. Look, 26 million an hour. So absolutely crazy rate once you get it upgraded. And to be clear, this is not a max Ferengi Whip because I held mine back. But as you can see, protected cargo, boosting, etc. right there. Now, why do I talk about not taking the whip past a certain level? Well, let me go ahead and answer that for you by jumping back into our Forbidden Tech menu. So you see my Ferengi Whip is currently tier 7. Haven't taken it any higher. But let's put on the screen now why we don't take the Ferengi Whip higher. So what happens when you get the Ferengi Whip is it unlocks a new set of unlocks in the the refinery, where you're going to be able to then pull every single day, hopefully getting either Q trial bells or Protomatter, but it gives out 4 different rewards. Now, as you can see on the screen, the rewards offered are, well, varied based on the tier of the Ferengi Whip. Now, at tier 4, which is where a lot of people stop their whip, you'll see that you have 10 options between Q trial bells and Protomatter. So you have 5 of each, right? And then you've compared that to the rares and the epics right there. You see it's pretty even. I mean, it's pretty close rather, where you have a even lopsided leaning towards the bells and Protomatter. And to be clear, I'm not saying that the rare fragments and the epic fragments have no value, but they've not been updated since the whip came out. And what ends up happening is a lot of players who max out their whip, well, you're more likely, as you can see, to get epic and rare fragments. And to be very clear, Scopely, if you are listening, and in fact, I would encourage the community to jump on into the comments down below. We would like more fragments to be valuable. So give us more forbidden techs. Heck, throw CTs into the refinery. There's just not really much there once you've unlocked it. We will look at the refinery by the end of this video, don't worry. But as you can see on the chart, the value in tiering it up isn't there because in today's game, you have more value in bells and Protomatter than you do in rare and epic fragments. And I do really want to emphasize that you do want to get those epic fragments, because if you're free to play out there, that's the sourcing to other FTs, such as the Time Crystal, such as Thalaron, Red Matter, like those big PvP ones we put on our Federation Klingon Ryman ships, several rares, including mining ones. So there are good reasons to get the rare and epic fragments, but because time has passed, not a lot of people have got much value after that if they took their stuff up. One more caveat I do want to point out is to see those rare and epics and all the different options that are available via the Ferengi Whip, you had to have unlocked the uncommon FTs first, which is the subnucleonic beam. Once you do that, more options will open up. In fact, let's back out right now, use this as an opportunity to back out, and we'll take a look at what my refinery looks like. So hop on in there. We'll go down here and we'll check our Forbidden Tech refinery. And as you'll scroll, you'll see I have the options for many things, but a lot are gone. Well, that's because I've gotten them. Right, and as you get more and more, they will simply disappear, as it should be in other parts of the game, STFC, where you unlock it, it disappears. Looking at you, Alliance Tournament Store, be nice if I wasn't constantly staring at primes I've already purchased and accidentally clicking that button. So, as you can see here, we have options for more, and then there's our Ferengi Whip, where we do concentrated latinum into Forbidden Tech fragments. And this is something that you can do every day, and actually gets a lot easier once you've maxed out your fee, so just keep doing that pull. So, we also have the Tarkus Isolytic Weapon, but I guess we can cover that another day. That doesn't really have a ton of value. But for the Ferengi Whip, again, we're talking about keeping it at a lower tier, tier 4 to tier 8, and anywhere in that range has different arguments of value. So like I have mine at tier 7, and it has 6 different options that I can pull. It's no real different than me going to tier 8. Could I do that? Sure, especially during a Forbidden Tech run in terms of like an upgrade event. That'd be completely logical to go ahead and do. But lower level, you will get less bells, as in like if you were to get the biggest pull at tier 4, as you can see, you'd only get 820 bells. Where at tier 5, that's 1,640, but you lost that smaller pull. And to be clear, I'm not trying to say that all the RNGs here are equal, right? So like it's not equal between an 81 and a 415. However, having more options is going to weight the percentages more towards things like bells and Protomatter. And anybody who's leveled up and tiered up the Ferengi Whip can tell you that what happens is as it gets higher tier, you're more likely to get fragments. Why? Because when the Ferengi Whip first came out, that was the big value between the Ferengi Whip in the refinery, was these at the very end, getting these FTs unlocked, because this was a paid item. This was not free to play originally. So that was getting all these and then all those epics you were just looking at on my ship. So for example, for those who haven't seen or didn't know, I have the Thalaron, I have the Time Crystal, I have the Refinery. All of these were pay only that are now free to play drips that you can pick up via the Ferengi Whip at level 40 and above. So has obviously value in terms of sourcing there, not to mention the other items that you can pick up. And then of course, there's still things that I need to get, like, hey, Scopely, when are you going to ever let me finish getting that common that I messed up on? Like so many different people, I'm stuck at 45 out of 50, which doesn't matter. I'm not saying the Orion seismic charge is good. It's more of like an OCD thing, and I'm sure many people can empathize with that. In fact, if you can, go ahead and like this video, because that helps out the channel and helps me know that I'm not the only one who screwed up the Orion seismic charges. So, Ferengi Whip, as you can see, will drastically improve how fast you can mine Latinum. I'll throw it on a node, mine it. Don't really need that anymore at this account's gameplay, but it's still important to note that you can take advantage of this to win those Mining Monday leaderboards, which many of you care so much about. I don't understand why, but you do. You do. I won't hate you for it. A lot of people like mining in this game, and that's A-okay, because when you mine, I mine. Right? Right. OPC hunting is fun. So, Ferengi Whip tier 8 would be absolute max that I would try to venture into, but you still have a lot of value in this. Like I said, you're either getting bells, which I actually pulled bells today. I should have saved that for the video just to show that it can happen, but a lot of it has come down to tiering. Now, for those of you out there who have already taken your Ferengi Whip past tier 8, okay, don't worry. I am definitely going to continue bugging, which I'm sure other content creators, moderators, and players are, that they add more into the Forbidden Tech Refinery. Obviously, we have a lot new FTs and CTs in today's game, and while they might add different things, different places, I do think that they should revisit this, just as I've been bugging them to add in new Fleet Commander Khan into the Vindicator sourcing at some point as well. I mean, you've got a good system. Why make another one? I know. Why am I asking that question on this game? But hopefully this video helps you out and explains the why we don't go past a certain degree for the Ferengi Whip, but it's still being very valuable and definitely a pickup if you don't have it as a G4 and above player. Live long and plunder, stay safe for the Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. Catch you on the next Star Trek League Man video and the live streams. Celebrate a lot of War Thunder content coming out lately. USS Iowa? Heck yeah. See you on the stream.
I would like to request to Scopely to add more Klingons to the game. That is what I was told to do, and so I am doing it. Which, you know, is not maybe the best thing as a leader to just do what you're told, but it seems like a good request to make, to add more Klingons. Everything is better with Klingons, am I right? I am right, because I'm a Klingon. Klingon mach tach judge! We are Klingons, let it remain. All right,
Rel's on a roll today. She's very excited.